Some people, I was listening to Joe Rogan recently, and he was talking about being pro-women being able to have abortions. One of the things he said was, which was still an admission of some kind, which I respected. He said, yeah, if the woman is showing, then I'm not sure. And it was really a feelings-based argument, right? It's like, that feels icky, so in that situation, maybe it's not so okay. That seems to be the way many people who are against abortion argue. It's not based on logic and reasoning and science. It's based on what I find icky or not.
And this is the problem with our culture generally, is we have lost the inclination to reason, to think through, to argue properly. And it is very emotions-based, right? So it's like, well, if I feel affection for you, it's wrong to kill you. If I feel the presence of you in my body, it's wrong to kill you. Whereas even if I lack affection and I don't feel your presence, if you actually are there, then I have a duty to do my best to protect and respect your life.
This brings up another argument I've heard, and I'm sure you have too. You're in a burning building.
Let's bring it up, bring it up.
And
I love this one.
And you've got, let's say, a baby in the next room.
Yeah.
But the
How old would the baby be?
Let's say 2 months.
Post-birth.
Yes, post-birth.
Okay.
And then over here, you've got a bunch of embryos. Where do they put embryos? In test tubes or?
Yeah, like in the test tubes and then the incubator.
Okay.
Not the incubator, sorry, the little...
the thingy-majig, I think it's called. So they're over there, right?
They're frozen, right?
Yeah, so
they're in
frozen
the
embryos,
canisters,
right?
Yeah.
And the building's on fire, and you only have enough time to save the one baby or the 20, let's say, embryos.
Frozen embryos, yes.
What most of us would do, including me.
Let's be honest.
I'll be honest. I am going for the baby.
Yes.
All right, that's what I'm doing. I'm going for that 2-month-old baby, and I'm running out the front door. And I may grieve, but I probably wouldn't, to be quite honest, because to me, intellectually, it doesn't feel. I mean, logically, I get that they're human persons.
Yes.
But I don't have that kind of attachment. But isn't this proof that I really believe that they are subhuman? Go.
Okay, great. Okay, so we have to start with, why is that analogy even being, or that scenario even being presented? It's being presented to get people to say what even you as a pro-lifer have said, which is, I'm going to take the child after birth, not these preborn embryos. So therefore, it means embryos aren't human. The fact that you would grab the born child over a higher number of individuals, 20 embryos, it doesn't mean that the embryos aren't human. So the point of the scenario doesn't lead us to the conclusion abortion supporters want it to lead us to. And the way to smoke that out is to change the scenario and say, burning building.
Yep.
You can only save your wife or me.
No, well, let's not do that. That's too close to home. But some strangers I've never met before. Yeah. But I would
But the point is, you're going to, we hate these scenarios because we want to think, well, I'll save both.
Right, yeah.
Right? But if you could only save, or let's make it fully parallel, as you say, you could only save your wife
or 20 strangers. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a higher number of people, but you're going to save your wife.
Yeah.
You would. Now, does it mean those 20 people aren't human? No. It just means that you have an emotional attachment, a relational connection.
And even an obligation.
And an obligation by virtue of your marital relationship to run first for your wife. Another way to look at it is there are people, literally as we're sitting here talking, there are people dying right now. I'm not crying.
No,
I'm not having an emotional reaction.
Yeah.
But if either of us got a phone call that our parents had just died.
Excellent.
We would be having an emotional reaction. My lack of an emotional reaction about the deaths of others happening right now
is not a proof that they
is not a proof that they're not human, and is not also a proof that I can go and kill them before they die. So,
very good.
So in the same way, yes, we're going to likely go for the born child. I would say for 2 reasons. One, we might feel more affection, just natural affection for the child that we've perhaps even held or comforted or played with. But 2, there's part of it is an analysis of success, almost like a triage situation where it's like, if I grab this child and I get the child out of the building, I've not only saved this child in this instant, but this child's going to keep living. So I have the likelihood of success in removing this child from the building. I don't have that likelihood of success when I run out of the building with 20 frozen embryos because, first of all, I don't want them to thaw or they're going to die.
Right.
But if I'm taking the canister out of the building, does it need to be plugged into something? So are they going to die in the process of removing? Even if I can somehow use a generator or whatever is needed to, keep them in their frozen state, when they're out of the building, then what? Do I have a likelihood of success? Will they be implanted? Should they be implanted? That's a whole other ethical dilemma. Is it ethical to implant embryos in other human beings who are not their biological parents? And so part of it could be beyond the emotional connection is likelihood of success of actually saving lives. So once you start to break down the scenario, you realize this isn't a case for abortion.
Yeah.
I can't thaw the embryos, grab the born child and run out. I kill you and I save you. No, it's I want to save both parties, the 20 and the 1. If I can, I will. But inability to save is not the same as direct killing, and it's certainly not saying that if I don't save you, that you're not equal to the one I saved.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Let's change the analogy, though, and say, like, you're in this building burning, and there's a canister of 20 embryos. And suppose I go for the embryos. That seems wrong. That seems wrong of me. Is it?
I don't know if it's necessarily wrong in the same way that someone would say going for your child versus 20 people. In a way, someone might say it seems wrong, like it's 20 individuals you could save, although humans aren't. It's not quite, we don't put numbers to our value.
That's right.
Each of those 20 individuals is unrepeatable, irreplaceable, willed by God and beloved children of the Father.
Yep.
But when we're in crisis, and that's what we also have to look at the scenario as, it's crisis-oriented, we're emotionally charged, we're going to make decisions based on the best info we have as we're reacting in the moment. And so if someone perhaps has opted for rescuing frozen embryos by having them implanted, they maybe think it's ethical to do so. And again, that's a whole ethical debate. But let's say they've gone through the process of having frozen embryos rescued before, and they've, brought a couple children to term. Maybe they would grab the 20 embryos because they think I and just some relatives are going to rescue these embryos. I wouldn't say it's wrong, but I lean to what everyone else would lean to, which is grabbing the child who I can put in my arms and take out of the building right away.
All right.
Yo, thanks for watching. You can watch the entire episode on YouTube if you want. You can listen to it at The Matt Fradd Show by subscribing on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And feel free to support me, patreon.com/MattFradd.